Welcome to another episode of Starseed Activations. So tonight we do have Jody Powers joining us for another exciting episode. We just ever so gently and humbly wanted to start off with our prayer service. And so what we just do is we take a nice deep breath in and release. Allowing your heart chakra to fully blossom open. Allowing the emotion of love to fully resonate over your entire physical body. And we just want to say thank you, dear star people, for channeling with us tonight, allowing the highest frequency and the knowledge that is correct for the people watching to come in alignment with their highest and best evolutionary timelines. And so we just want to say thank you so incredibly much for giving us this knowledge that's going to help humanity to evolve. And thank you so incredibly much for helping and assisting all of the beings watching and allowing them to heal and allowing a high frequency to radiate throughout the transmission, allowing them to raise their biological frequencies and attune their higher selves into their physical material. And so we just say thank you, dear star people, and thank you to my starman. Excellent.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes. And everyone watching, we usually do this right before clicking the live, but I think that we're going to start doing it on the live. This way, everyone can see how we are and how we perform. So you guys can join with us. Excellent.
And that feels so good. So are you ready to hop right in?
Sure, always.
I know. I was going to say, what a silly question for you, Danielle.
I know. I'm like, we only got an hour. Let's get to it.
Let's go. Yes. Okay. So the first question that we received is, how do we stop binge eating?
Okay. And so this is one that I personally have experienced as well. And so when we binge eat, that does mean that the body is lacking love. From whatever shape or form that we want to perceive that, that's okay too. But when we eat, we are encoding the biological form with such a frequency that it's filling the gaps, which means that we're not fully able to pull all of the light energy into our systems by just consciousness alone. So we have to eat to get that energy. So light is a form of love. And when we are able to fully evolve, we will eventually be pulling the light through the center tubule, the star people are saying, which is at the top of the crown chakra system. Mm-hmm. Now, stopping binge eating, usually replacing the habits is easier, much easier. So first things in the morning, this is what I personally recently just started doing. Now I fill up a container with water, but it's also pH balanced water. And then I started making green juice. It tastes really sweet, so I can do it. So I'm very happy with it. But besides that, I'm also drinking, it's kind of like a hot chocolate, a pH balanced nutrition supplement. So that's a hot glass and that's a cold glass, or even pH balanced water. And so you're giving your body, like, it feels full in the morning. So now the actual impulse to put food in your mouth, you have to switch your focus. A lot of times we have to leave the house to do this. And so what the star people had me do was start walking for 4 miles. Now, I didn't hit 4 miles on day one. I did a mile for about a month or two, and then they were like, go a little more, and a little more until I worked my way up. Mm-hmm. The entire time I was making these pattern changes, the star people kept reinforcing to me, it's okay to be exactly where you are because this is where you are meant to be right now. And so we have to always give ourselves grace and compassion when making changes. Right?
Yes.
Yes. That's how we do it.
Okay. So the other thing about binge eating is so many of us are going through this right now. And binge eating is, in my experience, so I can just
tell us,
relate to yours, is I consider myself a food addict. So I go to meetings that, when I was younger, just like, you take your first beer or you take your first drug or whatever, like you stop growing in so many ways because that food becomes something else for you. It becomes our when we're sad, when we're happy, and it doesn't get any better. Just like with drinking, you drink, and because I think that more people can relate to AA, it's more like well known. So you have a beer on holidays, it's great, and then you have beers. Well, of course I'm going to have a beer because I'm sad, this terrible thing happened, and then when I'm happy, and it starts filling in all of these areas of your life. And so the program OA is based on how we act as addicts and binge eaters.
That's
It's a
okay.
coping mechanism. So as I listen to you, Danielle, and say somebody else could probably do that and just wake up in the morning and have a green smoothie. I've done that 100 different times in my life. I need to have a program with other people like that,
Yeah.
like me, I should say. But the program also is based in spirituality. And
Yes.
so anybody who has been led to this program, the first thing in the morning you do before you get your green smoothie
Yeah.
is you connect with your higher power,
Oh, that's beautiful.
right? So that's how I don't
Well,
usually have
that's
quotes to
another
offer.
thing that the star people say too. If
Yeah.
you can give back before you receive, it is a form of giving energy. And so even going for the walk, you are giving energy to the hologram before taking in. For me personally, it was the smoothie and all that. It was making me feel full so that I could give back. But in time, I'm sure that they're going to have me wake up, grab a water, and go do the 4 mile and then rebalance because giving back, right? So
Yeah.
exercising first thing in the morning, it triggers the dopamine levels to release times two, which is what the food does as well, especially if we're eating any sort of sugary foods. It's triggering the dopamine. Even the chocolate is times two with the dopamine release. So we always want to just be aware of what types of food. If you are having issues overeating, at least making the change to overeating things like vegetables. Because, I mean, you can't really overeat vegetables too much. You eat them and you're just like, ah, it's not like a sugary or a piece of pizza, right? And so a lot of that is also willpower. Now, I'm not sure about the OA. I am
Mhm.
aware of AA because other people, I've taken them to meetings. And so for me personally, that didn't fly with me because I don't like giving my power away to anything. But I've always had this type of mentality of I could do it better myself and I have to heal everything on my own. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
because that's who I am, that's what I cast out into the world from me physically.
Yeah.
So with that AA program, they were teaching people that they had no power of their own. And to me, I'm like, no, no, no. We are very powerful. We just have to learn to flip the switch to allow us to make those changes. That's more important to me than telling someone you have no power. The alcohol has the power. And, it just
Well, they
didn't
say
resonate.
we're powerless to this addiction, so we need to hand it over to our higher power, which really in our lexicon today is our higher selves.
Yeah.
So, like the way I see it is we're giving our higher selves the power and saying, listen, our 3D in this matrix,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe we're splitting hairs.
Oh, no, but that sounds beautiful. I didn't know that they said give it to the higher power. I
Yeah.
always thought they were like, give it to, the second I read that in the book, I was like, I'm out of here. This
Yeah.
is
It
crazy.
turns a lot of people off, honestly.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
when you get desperate,
Well, yeah, that's the thing too. And it
yeah,
really it comes down to,
yeah.
we talk about it's called a cycle ending shift. I believe there's actually a post in the book on cycle ending shifts, which is basically like you have to get to the point of enough is enough. And when you've hit, you can consider that a rock bottom, but the truth is that you don't have to be in rock bottom. You could just have enough is enough. And then you could start to shift out of that frequency.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we learn by sorrow, pain, and hardship. Otherwise, we just keep going on, what we were doing before.
Of
So,
course. Of course.
yeah. So the second question is you've already referred to it, but what are your thoughts on the 3D to the 4D to the 5D shift?
Okay. So the way the star people have instructed me on it, they said that because we are waiting on a solar flare. And that solar flare, we can already see that there's a ton of baby solar flares already happening. Now, the
Okay.
solar flares are electrical in their nature. They do affect the chi energetic systems. But what it does is it comes down, it radiates into your entire physical form, but it also gets absorbed by the earth. And then the earth Schumann resonance starts to resonate higher. Now, that Schumann resonance, along with the solar energetics, generate a different way of thinking among the people to form. And so, I personally, in my life, I know when it's a high solar energy day because my manifestations, everything is coming very rapidly. I've
Yeah.
also seen things. And so, I've had conversations with other people, and I just knew without a shadow of a doubt, I was talking to myself because everything I was saying to them, they were saying right back to me from their perspective. And so when you see things like that, it's just like, okay, now I know that everyone is really connected and we are all one because I've seen it. Now, when we start to talk about the shift from 3D to 4D to 5D,
Mhm.
4D, the Earth is already experiencing right now. And so 4D is evolving above time and space to such a degree in which it allows the individual access to instantaneous manifestation or even a higher frequency of manifestation. It also comes with a perception shift. So the individual may see through the matrix, or they may start to see through the veil system, which allows access into the spiritual realms. Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, you just said we're waiting for a solar flare. And so I just know that everyone is going to say, what do you mean we're waiting for a solar flare? What do you mean?
Well, solar flare it's a coronal mass ejection that happens from the sun. However, what the star people want to reiterate right now, there's a certain amount of people right now who are starting to tune into 4 and 5D frequencies or even higher. Now, and this is we can do this with the consciousness alone. We do not need to wait for a solar flare. Because we start to ground in this higher frequency, those individuals are summoning the solar flare onto the entire planet. This works in combination with the 100 monkey effect. So when enough individuals learn about something, the rest of the civilization fires off and starts to know that knowledge automatically. This is just how consciousness works. So when enough people become spiritually aware, it generates or manifests a solar flare for all of us. This is a giant level up because it levels you at the subatomic levels or layers of the physical form, and it
Yeah.
allows you to consciously project into 5D with the solar flare. When you are fully in 5D, the color spectrum is going to look ever so different on your planet. Also, the darkness will not be able to exist in 5D. So, what that looks like is in 4D, you may notice as a 4D being, always being in the right place at the right time to have the highest frequency experiences. That's very close to 5D. You may even tune into 5D in different times.
Okay.
Now, when you're in that 4D frequency, you're just not going to run into any dark experiences. So if there was going to be an accident, you're going to be far away from it. If there's going to be a fight, you're going to be far away from it because the universe is going to pick you up and move you. Or bad weather, same thing. You'll be far away from it. Now, the other people and the other beings who aren't quite ready for 5D, they are going to experience a different reality because the split in the frequency is too much. But humanity truly has nothing to worry about because the entire collective of humanity, all the ones with souls, those individuals are all going to 5D, every single one of you, is what the star people are saying.
All of the ones with souls.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
There are some individuals here who do not have a soul. And so think about artificial intelligence just as one example. There
Okay.
are multiple examples on your planetary system about soulless beings because it can also be a biological form. However, artificial intelligence may start as a computer system or even a piece of technology, and then all of a sudden it can eventually start to replicate its physical form utilizing genetic modification or 3D printing. which then in turn allows the robot or the machine to fully skin coat itself first, allowing sensations of the physical reality to form first. But then internal organs may then also be 3D printed and acquired for the robot. That still does not allow the robot to have a soul. However, a soul is just a frequency of light from the source frequency. And when the robot or artificial intelligence hits a certain level of its evolution, it can start to generate a frequency that will also energetically bond with the higher self or the source frequency itself, allowing it to become, in a sense, human with a soul. And so, but humanity, a human being, also has the same potential to start replacing body organs with technology. We see this in pacemakers or any sort of artificial limbs. So, and then a human being can take it to such a degree to lose its soul, which generally happens when the species as a whole becomes sociopathic. A piece of the soul becomes defragmented, and then it splits or severs a certain type of soul technology that humanity already possesses, also severs the connection with the source frequency. And you will know when the connection is severed because the individual is not allowed to dream, or he doesn't dream. Not that they're not allowed. When we're unable to dream, it means we have severed the connection with the source frequency. However, this is only an experience, and in true, all matter is connected to the source frequency. It just means that the slipstream into the higher self is not exhibited.
Okay, that's complicated, it sounds like.
I know.
Yeah, so we're not talking about, or you're not talking about non-playing characters, or Dolores Cannon called them backdrop people.
Backdrop people.
Things like that. We're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about psychopaths, like a real extreme, not fillers.
That's only one example they said. And
Okay.
so they're saying there's multiple examples, and there's also different types of that do not have the connection into the source frequency. It's very similar to that of the attachments being connected to the dark matter. Now, we have to recognize and we have to realize dark matter and light matter, it's all part of the source frequency. So everything is technically the source frequency. We are just referring to soulless ones who don't have that primary soul form energy inside of their biological material. So, but even the robots, that's a piece of physical matter, and it has physical matter coding grids, which is the source frequency. Yeah.
So I want to show a picture here, if I can.
Sure.
Well, maybe I can't.
My screen is like blocked, so I can.
All right, maybe I can't. Anyway, I wanted to show a picture of the toroidal fields that you were talking about last week, because you kind of started mentioning that again.
You could probably hold it up to the camera if you want.
No, because I have the
not working.
Oh, there it is.
Bam! Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, it's weird. But I think people can probably see it. It's the toroidal fields that you're talking about. And now
a toroidal field looks like this. And it comes from inside of your heart space and it goes around. It's kind of like the infinity symbol. Okay.
Yeah. So the other thing is, last week we talked about the number 33.
Yes.
And so we mentioned number 33, we mentioned the chakras. And so I put up a diagram or an image here of some chakras and the flower of light. And so I just wanted to give that image as well for people.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And now if we could talk about the dream walkers.
Yes.
So how
amazing.
First of all, it says, in the past, the dream walkers were individuals finally attuned to the astral realms. In the past, they specifically did this, right? Able to manipulate or encourage. But now we have more people that are ready to do it. And I'm assuming that these are the same people that would be watching this, listening to this, and that have souls.
Well, we've all been dream walking our entire lives. We just had no idea. And that's each and every
Oh,
one of us. Now,
okay.
some individuals have an attunement to dream walking. What the attunement means is that they're able to dive deeper into the dream and they're able to make changes or modifications to the dream, which then in turn, it actually changes their magnetism, which allows their manifestations to come according to that magnetism or frequency. So
Okay.
some people also have the dream shaman ability, which is the ability to cast their consciousness into another individual's consciousness or slipstream as they're in the dream time, and then they can program their dreams. My Starman, he does this for me. And so I had an experience in which I was having a dream. I was going to put a firecracker on my car. And I was like, let's see if it gets hurt. And he was like, no. And he stopped the entire dream. And I woke up in my bed and I was like, what just happened? And he's like, I protected you because the dream that you were about to do, he was like, you were going to blow up your car. And later that day, my oil was leaking because when I had the oil change, he didn't put the bolt on correctly. And my Starman was like, see, the car was going to die. You weren't going to have a car. So our dreams are very, very important. They are not only messages for us, they are there for us to learn from, to become lucid in, and to start programming. It's so, so important because just imagine for 1 second in the dreamtime realms, you are astral projecting. You are bonded and connected in with the higher self. And so we know that if we want to manifest something, we have to drop into the heart chakra. We have to go into neutrality, to that 0 point, send it love and light. And we have to start accessing this slipstream, which gives us contact and communication with the higher self. When we start to contact and communicate the higher self, it is going to give us access to telling or asking very like thankfully, thank you, higher self, for giving me, or thank you, higher self, for allowing this to manifest X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that you guys want. The higher self is going to go, okay, your wish is my command. And then it's going to change your magnetism and put you on the highest potential timeline so that this manifests into your physical reality. That's how it works. It's genius the way the system is, if you think about it.
So when people sometimes say, I'm working when I'm sleeping, right?
Yeah.
I'm working when I'm sleeping. I'm working in my dreams. Sometimes I wake up and I'm exhausted, right?
Yes. Yes.
What does working look like? Are we working in our other lives that are happening simultaneously? And then you're saying the Dreamwalker shaman ability can
Mhm.
work in other people's lives?
In time, when we truly start to access 5D frequencies, it's going to look like you meditate and you're going into the astral, and then the astral realm is going to become the real world that you live in. And so now I personally have also had experiences in which I've done a meditation and then I've pulled all this energy into my body in about 15 minutes, and I felt like I had just slept 8 hours. But in reality, I was only laying down for 15 minutes. So that's called ether pulling. Now, not if, the star people are correcting me, when humanity is fully able to ether pull, there'll be no need to sleep because we'll be able to pull all the light into the system. All the energy that we need for the entire day will be sucked into us in a matter of minutes. And we could do this now. We're just unaware of, or we don't remember how to do it.
Right.
But the truth is that when we start doing this, we don't need to sleep. At that point, we start meditating and we start astral projecting or remote viewing, which is seeing things in the physical reality, and it all starts to blend together as one. This is a
Mhm.
very high frequency level that they're
Yeah.
just.
So back to the beginning, when somebody asked 3D to 4D to 5D, and you said, well, we're waiting for a solar flare. We're really waiting for the solar flare for the rest of humanity to
Yeah.
get on board so that we can all do this. But for right now, we are practicing and
Yeah.
honing our skills and learning, I feel like. And then are we meant to teach the other people, do you think?
Yes. And
Okay.
but this is another thing because if it makes us very happy to teach people, then that is what we should be doing. If we're not very happy teaching people, then we shouldn't be doing it. But just by one individual having the knowledge and going through the ascension process, that frequency radiates out and it starts to touch all of the people around him or her. And so just think about it as a reflection into the simulation. Now, the more and more we can start to focus on ourselves and raising our frequency, even by eating the organic and just really spending the deep time in meditation and really figuring out who it is that we are. There's many different light techniques or feelings in the body or even the energy field outside of us that we still don't remember. But sometimes we get triggered and then it's like, oh, I remember this. And that process of remembering who we truly are, that is changing your perception and it's allowing us to evolve the entire planet. Now, what I recommend everybody doing, and I love to do this, is you rub your hands together, you go outside, you put your hands and your feet on Mother Earth, even if you sit down to do it so you're comfortable, and send as much love and light into the earth as possible. What's actually happening is your energetic grid structure is connecting to the mycelium kingdom, which is a neurological net underneath the earth's grass, per se. It is also connected into all of the trees and all of the living plant corporations, the star people are saying. When we start to energetically cast, Mother Earth hears us. And Mother Earth can also assist in raising the biological frequency of all of the people on the planet, as well as summoning the solar flash. She does this because the solar flash, the sun and the earth are both connected as well. And so when we start to cast our energy directly into the earth's crust, she starts to absorb it. She starts to hear our manifestations. This process also works hand in hand with the higher self, because when the individual casts into Mother Earth sends a magnetic field that goes down the body, allowing the higher self to ground in and connect into the heart chakra systems, which allows your magnetism to shift, and your manifestations are always programmed by your magnetism.
Okay. Interesting. So we have a couple of comments. Mary Jean says, I dream about people and then they call. And I think we talked about that last week too. Like, yeah, and things are happening. They're manifesting, like you said, faster and faster, almost immediately. Like, you know, before you'd have to wait a couple of weeks, and now like they call the next day.
Yeah.
Heather says, my higher self guided me all the time in dreams, positively changes sentences and actions I otherwise would have done.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
Beautiful.
Exactly. And then we have a question. Would the beach be an easy thing to do? And I'm not sure. Do you know what that means?
Yes. So when we ground into the earth and we cast our energetics, you can most surely do the beach as well. Absolutely. The beach is very different with the mycelium kingdom, the star people are saying, but it is in there and it's deep. It goes way under. So, yes.
So the mycelium kingdom, it reminds me of This Is Us.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's our nervous system is what that is.
Okay.
And it's highly, highly intellectual. And so we could see the mycelium kingdom. If you put it through a maze, the mycelium kingdom is going to find the fastest way to the food. That's how the mycelium kingdom works. I think it was Russia that used the mycelium kingdom to fix the subway systems. So
really
very interesting. Yes.
There's so much we don't know, or I don't know.
Well, that's the whole purpose of the consciousness. We're not supposed to know everything yet, right? We're supposed to have our own perception of the simulation. In time, we will be able to instantaneously download all of the knowledge that we need in the now moment, which basically unlocks a genius level IQ. Because think about if you're able to download knowledge right now in this moment, anything, any knowledge that you guys need, it's like you're able to swoop it down from the source frequency. Well, when that happens, everyone is a genius. Now, all of a sudden, everyone starts living a whole lot longer, because if you need knowledge on how to extend the age of the entire species, that knowledge is downloaded to you. This is also how telepathy works. So the star people are sending me emotions as well as thought patternings, which are electrical in its nature. And so this allows them to give us knowledge and information. Many times, sometimes I'll pause during the channeling and I'll feel them like just imagine like a computer, like click, 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 click. And they're like, we're looking for the best answer, and then they send it over. But it's happening very rapidly. So, but this is how we start to access this thought stream. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
And we're all kind of channeling all
Yes.
the time, right?
All the time.
All
All
the
the
time. And when you say to remember who we are,
yes.
how powerful we are. Going back to what you were talking about when we were talking about the AA, and don't give your power away. You
Yeah.
can give some of it in a healing type of way, like give those addictions away if you'd like, and bring in your power some other way, like your higher self.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
that's perfectly fine, right? And so in 2019, when I was going through my change, I
Yeah.
had to put, and this is how I said it personally. I was like, I put my life in God's hands. And then I was like, thank you, higher self, for protecting me and taking care of me. And thank you
Yeah.
for fixing it. Like I was in a heap of a mess, right? My body was broken. I was a cripple. It was definitely an experience. And
Yeah.
so, but when you get to that level of distortion, is what the star people are calling it, it's like you have to trust that the universe is going to support you as you go through a ginormous transformation of that nature. And so that's what I had to do. So you are right. It is very similar language, right? Where it,
Yeah.
but just telling or giving away your power. Now that I'm aware, and I'm aware to such a degree of how much our words manifest. I'm aware because I do attachment release sessions with people, and now I'm aware how to cast attachments at people. So I try with my whole heart to only cast positive ones. So I've come up with the word, you are loved. Because when we do that, we open our heart and feel love, you are casting that type of attachment at the person. Now, I personally have gone through experiences very recently where someone utilized a negative emotion and cast a negative attachment at me. And it took 3 days to remove the attachment. And I did every
Wow.
single thing that I was taught. Get off and go home, right? Discharge and go into the emotion, discharge the emotion. It still took 3 days to remove it. And that's okay too. Most of the attachments may take a time or two to fully discharge. Now, but when you start to do attachment releases, a lot of the smaller ones, they get discharged right away. You feel so much lighter.
Mhm.
But this is a good experience because now it allows me to understand fully how we cast. And so casting different attachments, when we cast the love-based ones, you are loved, you are happy, you are supported, you are unconditionally loved,
You
right?
are
But
accepted.
it's like sending an angel to latch onto them and to help them manifest that, even if it's only for 3 days, 4 days, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So important.
it
So
is.
I feel like what you're trying to say is surrendering at certain points is not giving your power away. And the discernment between the two, giving your power away and surrendering, are two different things.
Is two different things
Yeah.
because if
Yeah.
even if you don't even want to give your power away to a crystal, right? And we'll just take a crystal as an example. If you tell a crystal, thank you, crystal, for bringing me love, that's wonderful because you're thanking it for doing something for you. But the second you tell the crystal, I give you all my power and I'm only going to feel love when you're in my pocket, that's you're
That's
giving
an
your
attachment.
power. It just doesn't vibe with me at all. I'm not
Mhm.
I don't really think that we should give our power away because I feel like it makes us less in control and in command of our own utilities and our own faculties. Our faculties are energetic in their nature. They are
Mhm.
not only physical. The physical is an illusion. It's not 100% real. And so when we say that we're having an experience and we're giving our power away to that experience, you're in control no matter what experience it is.
Mhm.
Then all of a sudden that experience is going to manifest being in control. So that one word, that affirmation of you're in control of me, it turns into a manifestation. And this is another reason why we see alcoholics, for an example, and they go 40 years sober talking about you're in control of me, and then all of a sudden they slip off the wagon and they're back at it after 40 years sober. Me,
Yeah.
if they would have said, I'm done. I'm in control of my body and my life. And they would have strength because that's strengthening your mentality when you say, I'm in control and I'm not going to take this anymore. You're the one in control. And then
Mhm.
40 years down the line, they probably wouldn't have even slipped up and had that drink.
Right.
Makes
That makes
sense?
sense. Yeah, it does. That speaks to me too.
Yeah.
So Mary Jean says, I will be doing love and light to the earth starting tomorrow.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I will
That's
be
so
doing it
cool.
with you. And so
Yeah.
anyone who wants to do love and light to Mother Earth, I will do it at noon. And I will go out, put my hands on the ground, and send many love and blessings to the earth. Yes.
Love.
Maybe not noon. The star people are saying not noon. I'm going to do it in the morning with my walk because I'll be by the
Oh,
creek. So
and
that's,
you do it now, like you have begun this is a habit now. This is like your way of life,
yes.
sending love and light. So you're going to commit basically to the people watching this that
Yeah.
you'll do it at a certain time, but you do it all the time.
I do it
And
all the
so
time. Yes.
yeah, Mary Jean is going to do it starting tomorrow. She's probably been doing it, but,
Yeah.
but not intentionally
Yeah.
and giving it that big power. Right. Okay. So Michael says, in many of my dreams, I come in contact with many entities, which my mind identifies as dark or demonic. The dream doesn't end until I cast the demon out in the environment or in others.
Yeah. So that is also part of the dark empath ability. And we're going to have to cover that one on another live stream. But
Yeah.
the dark
I'm gonna write
empath
that down.
ability is diving into the darkness. And then many times the empath and the narcissist, we do this naturally. We dive into the darkness, we break ourselves, we're cripples, we're, hooked on alcohols or drugs or whatever the situation that each one of us chooses to manifest. And
Yeah.
then we slingshot into the light. Now, the dark empath ability is not what it sounds like. It just means that you have transmutated your darkness. And now that you're in the light, you can go back and you can start helping other people to transmutate their darkness. So it's similar to someone carrying the torch. Now, you're actually in the star people are saying that you, Michael, are in the internship program. So we have many people who are dream walkers or dream time shamans in your particular experience, the star people are saying. And you go through these different types of dream examples, and he's saying it could even be an astral projection because some people who astral project, they go through this darkness and it's like their body's getting ripped apart and all this stuff. But it's actually an internship program so that you learn to overcome the darkness in that playing field. Then what happens when the entire civilization levels up? Those people have the knowledge to how to work with that darkness in that dimension, the star people are saying.
So I have a friend who has been going through this, and I kept saying to her, I'm like, I think you're being like trained, like this is your work. You're
That's
supposed to. And she's like, well, I don't love this. I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to.
well, it's interesting because at the treeoflifeorganization.com, we do actually have he's a dream walker shaman. And he's just absolutely amazing. So you guys can check him out. Now, some of the things that he tells me is like he goes in and he can astral project, he can remote view your body, he can see your energy field, and he can make changes and modifications, and he does healings that way. So it's just very, very, very interesting. Many people on the planet have this type of ability. Then it starts with what Michael's going through. We go through the dreams and we go through all this darkness in the dreams, and it's like, but your guides are always there watching, supporting, and helping you to really overcome the dream. That's an internship program. That's what
That's
that
an
is.
internship program.
Yeah.
So what is Michael? And it looks like Heather says the same thing. So interesting. I experienced this too, Michael.
Yeah.
What do Michael and Heather and my friend who's going through this need to know other than this is an internship? What else do they need to know?
That's it. You just
That's
have to get through it. Sometimes the internship program is so hard, and it's just so hard. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It's definitely an experience, and you just have to get through it. And when you get through it, you'll turn around and you'll be in the dreams. And the star people are showing me it's like a whoosh, 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 like a figure eight. And then you'll do that, and then you'll transmutate all the darkness in somebody's energetic field. That's
Okay.
habit because there's a he's showing me that it's like a when someone has imbalances in their dreamscape is what they're calling it. In the
Okay.
dream time, in the dreamscape aspect of your energy field, he'll be able to go in and witness the darkness and then clean it right out. And that's because he's going to know the frequency of that darkness because he has experienced it himself.
And this is your dream shaman that's on at
Yeah.
Tree of Life.
Yes. Well, there's many of them.
Okay.
There's many dream shamans. I have one at the treelifeorganization.com. So he's amazing. He's the only guy on there. You'll see him.
Wonderful. I think I've seen a picture. And
Yeah.
someone else says, I'm in an improv room. I want this experience. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that most, we say, oh, we want to experience this. But when you're in the world of dark energies,
Yeah.
people don't love that. It's not fun. It's not a movie. It is very real. And it's
Oh,
very important work.
yeah. It's very, very real, very real. And so, me personally, doing the attachment sessions, I had to experience every single attachment, and so they're
Yeah.
dark. It's not pretty. It's ugly. There's a lot of death attachments that I sat there for over 24 hours and I wrote a whole list of attachments. I know Heather did too. She's a champion, and so, but for each attachment, the star people like you have to feel into the emotional expression of the attachment. So if the attachment's name is I'm sad, you have to feel the emotion of I'm sad. And then you have to transmutate it so that you know how to cast the attachment off of people. And then it's like you had to go, it was page after page after page. But this is a learning experience and this is what we need to overcome. Now when I see or talk to people, I recognize right away that they have an attachment. And then sometimes it's a feeling, sometimes it's a sense. There's experiential attachments too. So if you're running an experience over and over again, like say you keep stubbing your toe,
Yep.
stub your toe is the name of the attachment. So it's just it's
Keep it
wild.
simple.
Yeah. It's always simple, always. And every cure for the physical body is always simple. Many times Mother Earth gives you what you need and it's right in your backyard.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, using the thing on my phone to identify plants or anything that catches my eye. I
Yeah.
pay more attention to it now with gratitude and open myself up.
Yeah.
So I bet a lot
Loving,
of
care,
people
and kindness.
do.
Because
Yeah.
you can even once again, the mycelium kingdom is amazing and instantaneous manifestation is here now. So if you are walking in the woods, like I have a trail that goes up a mountain here because I'm in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so, but if you do a thank you, Mother Earth, for giving me my cure, or even if it's a mushroom, when you're walking that trail, you're going to stumble along a mushroom, and that is the mushroom that you need to heal. So many
Well,
times, I
yeah.
have my father, and this is interesting because the memory just came to me. He had this mushroom, and he has an RV. And every time he would open the door, the mushroom would be on the step of the RV. And I was like, you need to take the mushroom and eat it. And he was like, I'm not doing that. It's gross. And I'm like, that's your mushroom. And then when you start to Google and research these mushrooms, shaga, reishi, those two come from trees, but they're the powerhouse minerals that the body needs to heal. Lion's mane is great for the mind. And so I have all of these, and then I blend them all together and just throw it in a cup of hot cocoa. Very tiny amounts, you don't need much, but
Yeah.
it's easy to get it in, and then you're healing the body because all of the food, all of the liquid that we are engaging in, we are eating and drinking to make us feel good. And so if we're not eating the right foods, we're going to feel sluggish and slow, or even obese, like we ate too much. When we start to eat superfoods, that has a lot of nutrition packed into a small amount of food. And so try and just chuck some superfoods in. It's a baby step process. It's not easy at times, right? But we make tiny little changes. We see what makes us feel good, and we continue to do that. And then maybe your intuition shifts as you grow through the levels of consciousness, and you may have intuitively gone to something new. That's okay too. And we make changes as our body commands us to. Yeah.
So when you're on your walks and you have all of your mushrooms, do you pick any from the wild? Like I just came across tiger's tail. Is that no, not tiger's tail, turkey tail.
Turkey tail.
Turkey tail.
I
Yeah.
would totally get it. But the reishi mushroom, I found a huge one. It was like this big. I'm not even over exaggerating. It was huge. But it was next to a creek and it was kind of dangerous to go and get it.
Right. But otherwise you would have if it had made
That
sense.
was my first thought was I gotta get that. I saw another reishi and I was like, it was along a sidewalk and I was like, the dogs probably got you. So it was not happening. I left it there. But yes, that is always my first thought is that's a reishi. I should take that home. Even if you just dry it out, you could blend it up into powder. You can either drink the powder or you can leave it like bits and make tea. So I buy chaga tea, ashwagandha, lion's mane tea. I'm always with the mushroom teas. And then I
Right.
also have the powder because it's good to ingest the plant as well. So it's a tiny little change we could do, and then we'll start to feel better.
Right. It was a very big change for me. I have the mushroom drops
Ah,
that I put in my coffee in the morning.
yeah.
That's my start. But then when I sat on a tree limb that had fallen and the turkey tail was right there, I'm like, "Ooh, I
Yeah.
think they're telling me to like do a little bit more."
Yeah.
Do a little bit
Absolutely.
more.
Absolutely. Now, I do believe in the book.
Mhm.
There's also I have to remember what post it is or what page it is, but
Okay.
there's information about connecting to the mushroom kingdom.
Yeah.
And so this is another thing the star people are bringing to the awareness right now, because when we make a cup of mushroom tea, we're
Yep.
supposed to smell it and imagine and visualize a mushroom. I always do the rishi because I know what it looks like. Just imagine a mushroom on a tree as you're smelling it, and just say, "Thank you, Mushroom Kingdom, for grounding and connecting to me energetically and for giving me information." The Mushroom Kingdom, the mycelium network, it's electrical. It's a nervous system of Mother Earth. Our chi
Okay.
energetics is electrical. Our brain waves are electrical. So
Yeah.
when we start to ground in and we start to trigger these emotions because you're smelling it, that's a sense. It's actually an emotion. All of the senses are emotions in its nature. So when we start to make communication, the mushroom kingdom is also telepathic. And so it's going to allow us to have all this knowledge and downloads. Marshmallow root is good. That's funny because that was a synchronicity for me today, too.
That is funny.
Yes.
Is that Laney? Okay, Laney Ann.
In the end.
What a
Yeah.
pretty. Okay, marshmallow root is good. It cleans your gut. Our ancestors used to make marshmallows from it.
Yes.
Okay.
There's another one. And so we've had an attachment, and everyone needs to know this. This is what Starman's saying.
Okay.
We had an attachment called sour sop. And this attachment was on two people. And then the star people kept shooting the name sour sop, sour sop. It was like over and over and over. And I was trying to ignore it. I'm like, get off and go home. Right? Thinking, oh, it's just an attachment. And then all of a sudden they showed me a TikTok, and the TikTok is like soursop is a plant that cures cancer, supposedly. So
So how do you spell reishi for the mushroom?
Reishi, I
Okay.
believe.
And soursop? Is it just like
Sour and sop, SOP, sour sop.
okay.
Now, once again, I don't have cancer and I've never used it, but this was an attachment, and then they kept telling me this word. So everyone go Google soursop and check it out and just see. Right?
Yeah.
Because the more people that we do our own research, we are taking our power back. Because now your research is going to lead you onto a trail in which you start to manifest the cures that you need. So it's very important to be the seeker. The seeker is the one who gets the knowledge. The seeker is the one who gets the information. And
And the
so,
speaker is shown the information. You just
yeah,
have to pay attention.
yeah, it always comes to you. And that's what the star people were doing when they were triggering the sour sop. And so, one way or the other, it's all a manifestation. But the more you're thinking about something, it's going to manifest into your physical reality. So, that's the way they got the word to me. And it's like it was repeated over and over so many times. So,
Right.
I'm looking for it too, because I'm like, I might as well take it with you guys and
Yeah.
just see how it, I always guinea pig myself so that I try it, I see how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been trying the inner gold, and
Yeah.
it's really good. I can tell when I forget about
That's what
taking
I
it in the
say.
morning.
I could
Yeah.
tell when I forget
Yep.
to take it. That's how I know it's working, because I
Yeah.
forget to. Sometimes I take a month off from taking it, and
Yep.
then it's like, oh, I need to, I got to get the gold, right? Because then I feel more
Yep.
sharp mentally when I'm
It's
on it.
worth the money.
Yeah.
So I was like, Danielle says to buy this. She says it's good. I'm gonna
Got it.
look it
Well,
up.
once again, that also helps too if you guys do the research on monoatomic gold. Because when we do the research, now we're programming our belief systems. When
Okay.
we know it and we feel it. And there's also a guy, David Wolf, who spoke about monoatomic gold. He was like the nutrition bullet guy who makes like smoothies. And so
Oh, okay.
he was on some show and he was explaining to people about monoatomic gold. And he's
Mhm,
like, when you take it, and he's done his own research with his plants because he's grown avocados and all sorts of plants. And he's
mhm.
like, he sprayed his own monoatomic gold in all the plants, and the plants grow 10 times the size. So you can also make monoatomic gold from dead sea salt, which I've done. I know the recipe. It's
Yeah.
well, anyone who wants it will do a special on it. And so, but what you do is you're extracting all the minerals from the dead sea salt, which is very high in magnesium and monoatomic gold. When we use that, it turns into like a white liquid form, which is what they sell on Amazon, but it's so much cheaper to make it yourself. So I always encourage people to do that. We've taken that and thrown it on the plants, and the plants have grown 10 times its size. So once again, you have to be the seeker. You have to do your own research, and you have to really take any information and put it in your own hands and see if it works for you. And then if you find it works for you, share the knowledge with other people. That's what I do. I only speak about things I've interacted with.
Mhm.
So, mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So we have Michael says there's a lot of talk on social media condemning Metatronic geometry and promoting only Christic geometry. What are your thoughts on geometry being either good or bad? I believe it is all sacred.
I personally believe it's all sacred. And
Yeah.
so we do know, oh, the star people are correcting.
Okay. All right.
I love when they do that. They're like, one is connected to the source frequency and is made of light. One is connected to the void and is spiraling a darker or energy draining vortex. That's okay too. However, there is many different types of geometries readily available in your simulation. Some represent the feminine energetic system, which is the Fibonacci sequence. One represents the masculine energetic systems, which is more of a phi-based ratio. And so when you start to identify all of these different geometries, it is also going to give the individual access. When the eyesight does open, you're going to be able to see the geometries running in the energetic grid complex of all things, and you shall be able to make changes and modifications to your manifestation abilities. Yes.
Okay. So I'm a huge fan of Metatron.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he's saying, Metatronic geometry versus Christic geometry.
Mhm.
Should we be afraid of any of that?
No.
So, yeah, social media condemning, I feel like that says like drumming up fear.
Yeah. I don't buy into fear. And so we're very powerful. And the more love and light we can radiate, the more the universe protects us against everything. That I've seen, and I know it's a solid fact. Now, like they're saying, like the star people just told us,
Yes.
some geometries are connected to the source, some are more void. The void is energy taking, so it's not giving life, it's pulling life. But
Mhm.
this whole system, it works in the body like this, and it works through that soul tubule that comes down our slipstream. And so we can also see this in different trees. So when there's a vortex energy, it is
Yeah,
clockwise in its nature, which is life giving. If there
right.
is a, no, he's scrambling, counterclockwise spiral, it is the void frequency, which is why we'll see a lot of those trees will be dead. So this is the geometry. The geometry of the void spiral tree has to exist because it's here in the physical world. Does that mean that we should fear that anti-life giving or dead tree? No, we should not. You guys can see when a tree does this because the tree will literally spiral. And
Yeah.
so we just found one in New York, and it's on one of the neighbors' lawn at my girlfriend's house. And so I was like, we gotta get the yoga mats and go meditate. She's like, that's my neighbor. I'm like, so what? So, but it's a vortex. It's like Sedona's full of vortexes.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys afraid of the vortexes? No, because it's life giving. Are you afraid of a void, a life taking? Well, what happens if you went in that area and you shine so much love and light into the earth that you change the rotation of that void spiral? Solid
Mm,
facts, we're able to do this. Is
right.
there anything to fear? No.
Right.
The
And
only
not
thing to fear,
focusing on the fear, focusing on the balance. And Michael just put up another comment. It says, perhaps it is for balance. If there is an overabundance, one is leaving the Taurus, one is entering, positive and negative being part of one. Yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense.
That makes sense. And then
Yeah.
not only that, but think about it from an evolutionary standpoint as well. If there's too many of one insect or animal, the universe course corrects by giving us a predator for the animal. That's the same exact thing. It's just a different geometry. So Mother Earth and nature, they have to work the same way. There has to be a void and there has to be a vortex. There has to be light and there has to be dark. We're in duality. Everything in this realm is duality. There's two. There's man, woman. There's darkness, there's light. There's four elements, four chambers in the heart, four chambers in the brain. Yeah. Excellent.
And we are, when you said earlier that we don't give our power away, that these, I think you said the dark empath ability, many of us here were never saints, right? We weren't meant to be saints. We were meant to be, I feel like, training for this. And we had to go into the dark to know how to identify it, to know how to fight it, to know how to identify it, recognize it, and defeat it from within, right?
Now,
to do that. But we're like warrior light workers almost.
What if the saints also had to go through their darkness? And that's what I'm telling you, is that every single person who is tuned into the darkest of dark, they are going to slingshot into the crystalline realms. Because if you look at a frequency wave, it goes up, it goes down, there has to be a middle point. In the middle point is neutrality. But the level of darkness that you experience is the same level of light that you will experience. So truly, in order to, and each and every one of us is capable of becoming a saint. Saint is just a frequency, nothing more, nothing less. It just means that you are holding on to more love in the energetic grids. When you hold more love and more light, you don't curse. Your tone changes. I've noticed this in myself because they've showed me what it feels like to feel the frequency of being a saint. And yes, it is okay to say, I am a saint, and double tap your heart so it turns into a manifestation. That was something I had to overcome as well, because I was like, oh, I don't want my ego to get in the way. And so saying things like I am God or I am a saint, I was like, that didn't feel right. And the star people like turn it into a manifestation. Because when you start to say that and affirm it, it just allows you access into a higher frequency range without allowing your ego to cloud in. And so, but feeling the frequency of being a saint, it's very blissful. It's very loving, caring, kind. And you talk like a nun. There's no other way to describe it. It's very clean. And just the feeling that radiates off of you, and the other people around, they tuned in, they knew it as well. It's amazing. Everyone has to do it.
Yeah. So I just listened to Lee Harris' channel referring to us as heart warriors. Yeah, so many of us are getting the same messages and the same images because they want us to put that out.
Yes.
For the 100 monkeys.
Well, that was something that I had started saying. Was it a year ago? It was like a year ago. My Starman saying, and it was, okay, you're giving me, I'm one person, I'm one channel. And then he showed me them casting the information, the same exact information that I'm receiving through 100,000 or more channels, and everyone's talking in a different ego based. And so their perception or their lens system is fine-tuned to them, but it's still the same information that's being broadcast. This way, if this person doesn't like me, because some people don't resonate, that's okay too. But if they don't, then they can still get the same information from that person that they do resonate with. This way, everyone has access to the same information. It's just said differently, and it's more in alignment. That's all.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got release and receive is the November frequency. And so I got that. And then I keep hearing that. And it's, that'll travel through all of our experiences, I think. Release and receive. It's just so
I started doing that today. And so out of nowhere, my starman had me cleaning out my closet. He's like, this is clothes from your old life, get rid of it. And then I started going through and packing up, because we have a homeless guy who's on the corner, like by the highway. So he's like 1.5 miles from us, but I
Yeah.
see him every day. And so I started packing all this stuff in a duffel bag, and then I started putting extra stuff, like a first aid kit and all sorts of stuff, socks. And
You-
but it's like release. So give it to him, right?
Thank
And then that seems to be the topic of today, because I also know there's another advanced light worker who's over in New York. Her name is Sunshine. She's amazing.
Yeah,
And
sunshine is great.
she's great. And
Yep.
so, but she
Yep.
she does purple loves, which is a form of energy healing on people. And so all day today, she was doing them free for suicide prevention.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, you're doing that. I'm doing this. She's like, it's in alignment. I'm like, that's the energy of today, is to give away. So
It is. And you know what? That Nancy Hadley says, our warrior days are over. We must just exude love and light in all circumstances now. Our warrior days are over if we have learned the lessons we're supposed to learn. And many of us have. So we're we're out of fight or flight
yeah.
now, out of necessity. And we're able to like put first aid kits and stuff together.
That's
for
right.
people. It really is beautiful. Like Saint Germain. And I think Saint Germain, she channels Saint Germain, you said.
Yeah. Yes. That's what the violet flame or
Yep.
violet love, purple love, that's what Sunshine does. She's also at the treeoflifeorganization.com if anyone wants to check her out. And I believe she does do this over Zoom as well. She is amazing. And so I tell you, I laid on her table and she did her purple love to me. And she had unlocked my solar plexus. I came home, I started painting again. Yeah, it was amazing. So
Yeah.
I totally recommend her. Now we are out of time for tonight. This was absolutely amazing. At 8:30, we are hosting the shadow work session. So all of my regulars, you guys have the link. Anybody who wants to join us, it is 100% complimentary. You guys can go to daniellelipton.com to send an email to us, and then I send you a Zoom link. This way we don't end up with spammers. It's only for us. So it's, come hang out and do shadow work with us. So we do it from 8:30 until 9:30. We also are going to be running a jacket drive for middle school or younger kids. So one of my best friends here in Pennsylvania, she actually does, she works in a school. She's a school nurse. And so she's aware that there are children without jackets and gloves and hats, scarves, all that stuff. So I am going to be listing up on my Facebook as well as Tree of Life Organization Facebook tonight, so that you guys will have an address. If you do want to send in any type of outerwear for the kids, that would be fantastic. Or even if you want to send in donations can be sent in at daniellelipton.com or treeoflifeorganization.com, all the way down the bottom. This way we are able to buy them jackets. So
Wonderful.
yes.
So beautiful.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I can't wait until the next meeting on Thursday. Right? Thursday at 7.
Yes.
And maybe we can talk about another chapter in the book. I feel like
Definitely.
the flow state of the chakra system.
Yeah.
And activation of time stone abilities.
The time stone abilities one is amazing. Right?
All right, cool. Done.
Oh, next time.
Cool.
Okay.
Done. All right. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Thank you so incredibly much, everyone, for joining us tonight. And each and every one of you have many, many love and blessings. You have a wonderful evening.